Welcome to Trending Upward, and this is Chad Hayes. I want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Trending Upward, and I trust that the podcast today will be a help to you. It is my desire that the Word of God be used in such a way on this platform that it would be a help to you as you seek to trend upward. It is important that this life that we live be an ascending Christian life and not a descending Christian life. I trust it to be a help to you as you listen today. On today's episode of Trending Upward, we're going to be looking at the concept of a pinned down church. In Matthew 16 and verse 18, we read, "And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." In the military, we had what we called suppressive fire. This is when you sent so many rounds towards the enemy in order to pin them down. In combat, the term pinned down comes as a result of suppressive fire. To be pinned down means that you have fallen under so much suppressive fire that you no longer land on the side of the offensive. And spiritually speaking, in light of Matthew 16 and verse 18, we see the rock being Jesus, and we see the church being built upon Jesus. And then we see, "And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." The "it" of that excerpt is the church. It has often been interpreted in such a way that it has the church of the living God on the defensive to Satan's attacks against the church, rather than a church that is on the offensive against the forces of hell, and Christ defending the church as it's on the offense. Oftentimes, this verse is interpreted from the lens of human weakness and from the lens of how we are oftentimes as Christians living our lives. We oftentimes live our lives hunkered down. We live our lives entrenched. We live our lives pinned down as the devil is on the offense and the church is on the defense. However, the church is not to be this way. We are to be a church on the offensive. Hell should be threatened by our existence as children of God. We should not be threatened by hell. Satan should be scared of Christ in you and Christ in me. We should not be scared of Satan in others. So the idea here in Matthew 16 is that the church should be on the offensive, taking the Word of God into our communities, to our streets. We see today, tragically, the outcome of a hunkered down church and a pinned down church. We see it all throughout our country, the results of a pinned down church. I invite you today, if you're listening to this podcast, to be willing to go on the offensive. Take the Word of God into your homes. Take the Word of God into your schools. Take the Word of God into the workplace. Take the Word of God into the communities, into your communities, and go on the offensive with it. We're not to be a church that is pinned down. We are to be a church that is on the offensive, and we're taking the fight to the world. As a Marine, active duty Marine, and deployed to Iraq in 2008 and 2009, there was a shift in the war over there, and not to go into politics today, but there was a shift in the war when the commands from superiors, which ultimately came from Washington, was that we are to wait for the enemy to bring the fight to us. We lost the offensive. We then became a defensive military. And what happens at that point is that the enemy then gets to fight their way. They get to choose the fight. They get to choose the location. They get to there are so many advantages that goes the enemy's way whenever good and right loses the offensive and then plays from a position of defense. And we see that tragically even within our own country and within the world. The devil is getting to choose in a lot of ways the battleground. The devil's getting to choose the when, the where, and the how. When we as believers need to go back on the offensive and take the fight to this world and take the fight to culture, we're seeing today more and more the need for the Church of the Living God to get back on the offensive. But take this verse with you in Matthew 16 and verse 18. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So I invite you today, take this verse seriously and take it in the way that it is intended within its context, and take the Word of God with you. Go armed with the Word. Be ready and willing to fight, and know that the Lord is our defense. I'd like to thank you for listening today to Trending Upward. If it's been a help to you, I invite you to share this podcast with someone and help get the word out on how they too can trend upward in their walk with God.